are here with Jay Gavin. Hey, Jay.
Hey, Spencer. How's it going?
Going great. Thanks so much for being here.
Right on. I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Let's give our listeners a taste of what your music is like.
Right on. Well, this is a song I wrote a couple years ago when I was feeling under the weather. And it's about getting old. It's called Seen Better Days. And this is my buddy Paul Cazzone. He's going to be joining me on guitar here. He's another fellow Canadian, but we'll get more into that later. Here we go. My old boots, I've been walking round in circles in a field of sweet and broken dreams, just like two old dusty turtles who just can't seem to find a stream. And my old hands have been pointing up at heaven, just past the moon. I see a light, and I've been wondering how in the hell to get there, knowing I ain't got much time. And my old mind, well, it still seems young today. It takes me back to where I came, and I don't need a car or an aeroplane. 'Cause in my mind, home's not far away. My old eyes have seen some better days. They've seen all the memories that we made. And lately I can't see too far away. But that's okay. Seen better days. My old man, he's still around. We don't talk a lot when I'm in town. He ain't too proud or trying to be. It's my old man, he's just like me. Play it one time, Paul. Have seen some better days. They've seen all the memories that we made. And lately I can't see too far away. But that's okay. Seen better days. This old guitar still stays in tune, but I ain't picked a lick on it since sometime last June. It ain't like I got better things to do. Just sit around and think of you. And my old heart is prone to breaks. Ain't sure if I got what it takes to tell the real ones from the fakes. 'Cause my old heart is prone to breaks. My old eyes have seen some better days. They've seen all the memories that we made. And lately I can't see too far away, but that's okay. Seen better days, yeah, that's okay. 'Cause I've seen better days.
Hey, thank you very much, Jay Gavin.
Thank you,
Here
man.
in Studio B, doing Seen Better Days off the new album Road Ready, and with Paul Cazzoni. Who's doing the solos on that one. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I was researching the album, listening to the songs, and thinking about everything. And I was going to get to this later in the interview, but maybe just start here. Is that it seems like it's a new chapter, maybe for you a little bit, or like there's some reflection going on, and then it seems like there's some optimism towards the future. Is that something that came to mind while you were writing the new one?
Yeah. I think it all started during the lockdown.
Yeah.
I thought it was over. I'd sold my tour van. I was like, that's it. I was going to pack it in, and then when it opened up again, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna give it one more good shot, and yeah, it's been going great. And it is a new chapter because I played punk rock and heavy metal most of my life, but I did grow up on country music. All my family are bluegrass players.
Yeah.
And I didn't really fit in at the time. I was the black sheep, and moved away to the West Coast at a younger age and just found punk rock. And I found it a real natural transition going from punk rock back into country, though, especially the outlaw country and the bluegrass. It just feels very natural. It almost feels more punk rock than punk rock has been lately.
Yeah, I totally understand. We had a chance to talk about that a little bit earlier, the punk rock retirement plan,
That's
moving
right.
on from those things. So for going back to what you're saying, though, for the pandemic, was that like the end of doing the punk and metal scene kind of shows?
No, I think it was about 2012. I decided I wanted to start playing more country, but I had an idea. I was going to start mixing like heavy like doom rock
Okay.
with country, and that didn't really pan out. And then I just started, when I started writing, because as I was a bass player the whole time playing punk rock and metal, and I didn't really have an opportunity to write that many lyrics. And when I started writing, I really fell in love with it, and that's when I made the decision I wanted to play country, because I wanted people to actually hear the lyrics and the stories. I'm going to spend all this time writing the song. I want them to be able to feel the story and
Instead of screaming them until your voice is
I do like
hoarse.
that too. I love the energy of punk rock. I'm still very much a punk rocker, but yeah, I like doing what I'm doing now. I really enjoy it.
Well, you're wearing your speed dealer hat.
That's right.
Yeah, and that was you were telling me that was something that came out of the closet or out of storage for you, and you were in a band out of Texas, punk rock band called Speed Dealer.
Yeah, I emailed those guys. I think it was in 2001 or 2002. They on their website at the time, it said Speed Dealer's breaking up. We can't keep a bass player. And so I emailed them, and then about 2 weeks later, they're like, "Come on down to Texas." So I packed up the van and moved to Texas, and I did a stint with those guys for a while, but I had some trouble getting proper paperwork for being a Canadian, and things just took too long. And Speed Dealer was an older punk rock band at the time, and just kind of fell apart. They're actually playing again now. I just seen them the last time I was in Texas, and they're still on fire. Still a great high energy band. I really missed it when I was in the crowd watching them. I tell you, last year.
You're ready to get back up on stage.
Kinda, but not. Yeah.
Well, that's the new album, right? I mean, there's a amount of reflection, but there's a new chapter and I'm glad it's going really well. And I know it came through Nashville, but maybe tell us a little bit about where you're from for the listeners. So
I grew up in Prince Edward Island, Canada, out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. All my family are lobster fishermen, and that's what I thought I was going to be my whole life. And like I was saying earlier, I was kind of more of the black sheep of the family. I'm the only child in my family, but my dad had 11 brothers and 2 sisters, and they all have massive families. And we grew up in a town of 1,100 people, so a good third of those people were my first cousins. So it was I feel like I have a giant family growing up, and they all everybody's very musical. But then I moved to the West Coast of Vancouver. I did a little while in Toronto too, but Toronto didn't agree with me very much. And when I moved to Vancouver, I think it was in 1994, and just fell in love with it. And that's where punk rock was in 1994, was in Vancouver, in Canada anyway. But
It was having a moment, like grunge. There was a lot of things going on all at the same time musically. There was, the waves of scenes that come along, and that was one that kind of captured everybody. I think at that time was heavier stuff.
Yeah, and all the everything just blew up at that time. The skateboarding and it just took it into a different world where it kind of fell apart, I think.
So when you were younger, I read that your uncle was a fiddle player.
That's right.
And that you have this huge family. Were you surrounded by bluegrass? Were you brought up with bluegrass and traditional music and things like that?
Bluegrass, traditional music, a lot of Celtic music, a lot of Celtic fiddling, kind of jigs and stuff like that.
We do all that stuff here at
exactly.
WNCW.
Yeah. It was always around. My dad didn't play, or my mom, but and David, my uncle, David Goody, he lived right next door to us, so we were just surrounded by parties all the time. It was just like kitchen parties. There's so many amazing players and singers back there. Not a lot of writers, but it seems to be, and the younger people are starting to write now too, but there was just so many players back then. It was a great childhood. I wish I had a more horrible childhood, so I'd have something better, or at least darker, to write about.
I'm glad you didn't.
I'm glad too. My family are amazing. I love them all.
Having those musical traditions are really wholesome. I wasn't brought up with bluegrass or Celtic, but I'm bringing up my young children with that kind of music, and I love it because there's just kind of like a musical home and heart in that type of music that can't be replaced.
And like the harmony singing. I was never really good harmony singer, and I've always wanted to try, but now I'm just singing lead, so I'm too old to dive into the harmonies. But those things were just the best.
Well, I'm glad you found your way back into it. And Road Ready is definitely an album that hits on country, Americana, and traditional music and all those things.